Have you ever wondered why you do things you don't remember deciding to do? Why you flinch before you think, panic before you plan, or have a song suddenly pop into your head for absolutely no reason? People call this their subconscious mind, but psychologists say that's not quite right. But what's actually happening is way more interesting and way more useful. If you understand what your subconscious really is, not the Hollywood version, but the psychological version, you stop feeling broken or weak for your automatic reactions. You also gain the power to change habits and fears and even pain, especially pain, because you finally understand which part of your mind is mostly running the show. But if you don't understand this, you can spend your whole life fighting behaviors you think you should control consciously and putting up with useless pain. In this video, I'll show you why psychologists don't actually use the word subconscious. What's really going on in your brain when thoughts and reactions happen automatically, and how you can use this understanding to make real changes in your life. When you type into a search bar, autocomplete automatically starts finishing your words before you've even decided what you're going to say. It's not reading your mind, it's just pulling up millions of past patterns. The unconscious works in the same way. It fills in reactions, fears, habits, thoughts based on old patterns, some that you learned on purpose and others that you didn't consciously choose. Most of the time, it's super helpful. Sometimes it hilariously misfires, and sometimes it pulls up old suggestions that you don't want anymore. This isn't a mysterious second mind hiding under your thoughts, but you do have a powerful set of background processes running every second. They're deciding how you react, how you feel, sometimes even what song pops into your head. Long before your conscious mind shows up to take credit or try to explain why you just did what you just did. Most people say subconscious, but psychologists almost never use that word. Not because they're picky, but because subconscious kind of suggests a second mind hidden under your main one, like some roommate living inside of your head. Modern psychology says that's not how the mind works. Instead, researchers talk about one mind with multiple levels of processing. Some things you're aware of and some things you're not. And most things kind of slide back and forth between the two, depending on attention. Processes that you're not consciously aware of are, by definition, unconscious. So when someone says, my subconscious made me do that, what they really mean is an automatic process kicked in before my conscious awareness did. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist who wrote the book Thinking Fast and Slow, calls these two ways of processing or thinking System 1 and System 2. System 1 being the unconscious fast system and System 2 being the conscious slow system. To understand where this idea originally came from, we need a quick stop in early 1900s Vienna. Sigmund Freud was seeing patients with real symptoms, paralysis, pain, phobias, where doctors could find nothing physically wrong. He realized something radical for the time. The mind must be doing things that people aren't aware of. That insight alone changed psychology. But here's the thing. Freud built the rest of his theories on his experiences, not research. He based it mostly on mentally ill patients, and his ideas couldn't be tested or disproven, and that's why most of his models didn't survive. What did survive was the core truth that he stumbled on. A huge amount of your mental life operates outside of your conscious awareness. Modern psychology kept that, and they tried to replace everything else with evidence-based models. But some more recent research into Freud's work with symbols and the unconscious has been starting to prove true the things he said. It goes in and out of fashion to bash Freud, but I think he was way ahead of his time. So it's more accurate to call the unconscious mind that collection of automatic programs your brain runs without checking in with your conscious awareness. More accurate, but not necessarily more useful. The model of the unconscious mind can be very helpful in therapy. It's a point of debate among hypnotists and therapists right now. Either way, these unconscious programs help you drive a car without thinking about every movement, tie your shoes on autopilot, recognize danger instantly, or react emotionally before you can explain why. They also show up in small, everyday glitches, like when a song pops into your head. I noticed that the Bee Gees song, If I Can't Have You, would often start playing in my mind out of nowhere, usually when I was frustrated. I wondered why that might be. I'm not a huge Bee Gees fan or anything, but When I traced it back, I realized that my brain was making an unconscious association with the line, and it doesn't matter how I cry, because I had misheard that as it doesn't matter how I try, which was exactly what I was experiencing right then. I kept trying my best and getting nowhere. My brain connected the dots faster than I ever could. That's the unconscious at work, not mystical or automatic, just fast and very literal. So try it the next time a song pops into your head. I bet you can figure out where it came from. It's a fascinating exercise. Now, check this out. Neuroscience has been quietly confirming automatic processing for years. In some experiments, researchers can actually measure brain activity milliseconds before people report having made a decision. It's a tiny gap, but it doesn't mean you've lost your free will. It just shows that parts of your brain start the process before your conscious mind can catch up. Your free will comes into play once the automatic reaction or thought has occurred. And at that point, you can examine it with conscious thinking, the slow system two that Kahneman talks about. Now, it takes a mental effort to question or override that fast, unconscious response. But if the automatic reactions are not serving you, it's worth it to spend some mental effort to get to the bottom of it. Habits are one of the clearest windows into unconscious processing. They're built from a simple loop, right? Cue, routine, reward. Do that loop often enough, and your brain says, great, I'll automate this for you so you don't have to think about it. Research suggests it takes 66 days for a behavior to become automatic. I don't know how they figured that out. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, but the point is, habits don't start overnight. They become unconscious through repetition, not willpower. And there's a lot of books and articles written on the subject of how to change habits. And most agree that using willpower is not the best way. It seldom works because willpower is a conscious exercise. It takes effort and it gets tired quickly, but the unconscious program never gets tired. And conventional wisdom says to take tiny actions that link a new habit to a stable cue. Like every time after I close my laptop, I'm going to take a nice stretch. And your brain sort of builds this program quietly in the background. But my experience with clients is that there is an easier, more effective way. If you're a non-smoker, what would happen if someone offered you a cigarette? Would you be tempted to smoke it or have to fight an urge not to smoke it? Of course not. You just say, no thanks, I don't smoke. Because that's your identity. You're a non-smoker. A smoker identifies themselves as a smoker who is trying to quit. And that is a very difficult situation. So that's the trick, to stop fighting with the habit on a minute by minute level and change the identity first on a deeper unconscious level. You can change your identity, and the unconscious mind, if you will, reorganizes the automatic programs to help you maintain your new identity. Instead of I'm trying to quit smoking, you make a decision to be a non-smoker. A non-smoker doesn't buy or accept cigarettes from other people. They just say, no thanks, I don't smoke. Pain is another place where unconscious processing can cause us to suffer. The whole pain system is run unconsciously by parts of the brain that create a pain signal based on their perception of the amount of danger that you're in. Some of that perception is driven by tissue damage, but a lot of other factors that are unconscious play into it as well. An injury or an illness might start the pain, but chronic pain often persists because the brain's alarm system stays switched on even after the body has healed as much as it's going to. It's real pain. It's a real pain signal coming from an overprotective system that still thinks you're in danger for one reason or another. From 20 to 50% of the adult population is dealing with chronic pain at any moment. And what helps many of them isn't fighting the pain or trying to fix the damaged tissue, but retraining the alarm system to send out more helpful signals. Techniques like mindfulness, graded movement, cognitive reframing, and hypnosis can all change how the brain interprets danger and what kind of pain signals it sends out. I see this constantly with clients when they become consciously aware of what caused the brain to see danger and allow those unconscious signals to change. The brain updates the programs and the alarm eases off. Hypnosis isn't magic, it's just a focused state where the brain becomes more responsive to new suggestions. Research shows it can reduce pain, quiet cravings, and help with anxiety because it works at a level where automatic programs live. Instead of trying to force change through willpower alone, hypnosis lets you slip into the system and update the script. Hypnosis doesn't make you do anything. It helps you decide whether a program is worth keeping, so you can change it if it isn't. Now, here's the honest truth. There isn't a spot we can point to in the brain and say, that's the unconscious mind. These are models, like I said, useful ones that help us describe processes that we can't directly see. The line between consciousness and unconscious isn't like a thick wall. We move between the two constantly. So instead of thinking, does the unconscious mind really exist as a thing? The more useful question is, does this model help me change? If a tool helps you rewrite a habit, dissolve fear, or quiet pain, then the model's doing its job. All of this leads to a simple, empowering truth. You're not fighting a hidden second mind. You're dealing with automatic programs. Some helpful, some outdated, and they can be retrained. And once you understand that, the guilt drops away. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not self-sabotaging. You're just running code that hasn't been updated yet. But how do you use this knowledge to actually make changes in yourself without having to go to a hypnotist? I've got you covered in a video called How Your Subconscious Really Works. That'll give you some practical steps to put your unconscious programs to work for you. I'll see you there.